Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back? Well, I thought it was time to do an update but final review on the Lenovo Ideapad 330 series. There are many different variants of this same computer. So when you look up Ideapad 330, there's a bunch of them, right? It's like, which one is which? Okay, they really need to learn to name their computers a little bit better at Lenovo. Anyways, we have an Intel i7 8th generation processor at 1.8 gigahertz with an overclock of 4 gigahertz. According to our wonderful device manager, it says there's 8 cores. Yay! According to the website we bought it from, it said 8 cores. Yay! When I went and finally searched out the processor this morning, to my disappointment, Intel says it's only 4 cores. Boo! Okay, but it doesn't say how many threads. So, 8 threads, 4 cores, let's look at it that way. Thing is, in the device manager, it actually does show 8 cores. 8 cores. Right here, processors. CPU, 1.8 gigahertz times 8. i7s, all the way down. It doesn't say anything about threading or hyper-threading. Okay, and neither did the website when we bought it. So I'm going to say we paid way too much if this is actually a 4-core processor. However, it's still a pretty fast processor regardless. The GPU in this thing is actually not bad for Intel Graphics HD. Ultra HD actually, it's a UHD. There's nothing of course from Intel either as far as, is it dedicated RAM that this thing uses, or is it shared memory? There's nothing even in the BIOS about that. So it's kind of like, well, that kind of sucks. So yeah, even the BIOS, Lenovo's got to get on the bandwagon and get that straightened out. Does come with a CD-DVD burner, which is great. 2 USB ports, both different versions, of course, but still standard plug-in. USB-C absolutely sucks and is useless. We've tried USB-C devices, they don't work. My wife was sent some for reviewing for a couple of sponsors, and yep, don't work on either one of our laptops. And we both have the exact same laptop, so there you go. So it's not a problem with the computer. They just didn't want to work properly. So we actually had to do those reviews at my father's house on his brand new Mac Pro that he bought, which was like really expensive. And it has USB-C, and the devices worked absolutely perfect on the Mac. So, you know, and yet they say, you know, Windows and Mac, right? So hey, does have a multi-input jack. You can use this for running computer speakers. I actually have a set of Mackie CR3 studio monitors that plugs right into this. You can run headphones or headphone with a microphone, plug a straight mic into it as long as it's an 1/8" jack, or any kind of line-in source. So it works as a line-in or both ways. Pretty cool. The card reader is a standard SD card reader, so if you're used to your big SD cards, we mainly use these with the adapters for the micro SD because a lot of our stuff is micro SD. So you just throw that in there and pop that in the big slot and away you go. Piece of cake. Ethernet, yes. Wireless Wi-Fi, yes. Bluetooth definitely is there as well. Full-size keyboard with number pad, definitely awesome. I love the keys on it. What I really do hate, other than the lack of information and properly knowing what it is under the hood, is the trackpad sucks. It's too far over to the left, so when you're typing, your hand can easily hit the clicker, okay? This is no good. It needs to be shifted more over to the right, towards the center, and it needs to be about a ½ an inch, maybe even 3/4 of an inch, smaller in diameter all the way around, and that would be actually better so that you'd be able to type and still use the trackpad without any interference problems. So I actually run an external mouse on this thing because I can't use the thing with that trackpad there at all for anything. It's just totally useless. So that's kind of my biggest gripe. The screen is 17-inch, which I like. I don't really like smaller screens that much unless it's a necessity for something. It is a matte screen, so it's not going to be rich, vibrant, beautiful colors. Okay. But it's still pretty good. You know, it's decent. It's not a bad thing. You do have to watch angles on computers that have a matte type screen because the viewing angle is a very important thing to get just the right view angle to get that coloration working and the picture working for you just right. But it's still not going to be like brilliant, vibrant, beautiful stuff. Okay, you're going to get that with a glossy monitor. But with a glossy monitor, of course, you're also going to end up having light reflections and stuff that bounce back at your face, which kind of sucks. So matte screens do have a purpose in a sense, but in another sense they kind of do suck, especially if you're playing video games. Surfing the net, watching videos, no problem, piece of cake. I do run an old version of Windows Movie Maker on this thing from the good old days. I love that version, and we were able to get a standalone installer before that got deleted off the internet, so we keep backups of it, because that version of Movie Maker is so nice and easy to work with. I love it, and I got used to using it for years, so I want to keep doing it. But I also use my Mac for iMovie. My Mac actually runs my Studio Gear. I wanted to use a laptop for my Studio Gear, which is one of the main reasons I wanted this thing. And it seemed on, spec on the website that it would do it, but it won't. It won't run any of my studio, so that kind of really sucks. I mean, it's good if you want to program your Katana amps, your Boss pedals, or any kind of programmable music gear that's a hardware device. But if you want to try and run a home studio off this for recording purposes, it doesn't have the performance or power to do that. Even though I shut everything down so that the hard drive's running full bore, the processor, the video card, everything runs full bore, plugged in or on battery, doesn't matter. It's the way I set up the computer. I have a video, by the way, on how to set up your laptop and Mac for high performance running. It will chew up the battery much quicker when you do that. Like, you're going to get like 2 hours maybe of surfing time, maybe a bit of typing. Video games, you might get an hour and it's going to kill the battery, pretty much. Because it's hard on the battery when you have all that stuff just running like full bore, right? But it's a great way to take advantage of the top performance of the machine that way, so it kind of makes you feel a little bit better that you're kind of getting what you're paying for. I don't like Windows default setups for power management. They suck. So anyway, plays Minecraft well. Far Cry first version, of course, it will play it in full tilt graphics with very little problems as far as lag goes. But if you experience a little bit of lag, just turn everything down to medium. You're still going to get a pretty good picture, not a big deal. But I do like playing it on the top end graphics, so you got to kind of sacrifice a little bit of lag there, here and there. Need for Speed Undercover, yes, also an older game. I realize this. I like some older games. I ordered in a brand new gamer machine, and I double checked everything, so I'm actually getting what I'm paying for this time. I'm getting really nice. Anyway, we'll see that on Tuesday when it shows up. Need for Speed Undercover, though, will not run full bore on this computer. The program is too demanding for the computer to handle. Minecraft actually runs pretty good on, basically mid-level settings. Anything much higher, and yeah, it bogs like crazy. So, some games are going to work at certain levels. Other games, you better just buy yourself a gamer computer just for those. This thing won't be used anymore for playing video games on, though, once the new computer is set up and running and everything's ported over, which is fine. This thing's going to have a whole new purpose in life, and we'll have to figure that out yet. Because I do have a netbook that I now use for just running things like Katana amps and my other studio gear that requires updates and program support and stuff. So I have a netbook that actually does that job quite well, and it's dedicated. This way it's also small enough and portable that, if I take my pedal board to church with me and I need to do programming to set up a set of patches and whatnot, I can do that on the fly, having the laptop hooked into the pedal board, and it's also very small and lightweight, so it's not in my way. Where something like this to cart around, nothing but a pain in the neck, too big and too much of a hassle for that. But anyways, in the end, how do we rate this thing? 3 out of 5. It has lost a lot of brownie points with me, okay? Especially with the confusion over the processor of not knowing who's telling the actual truth here. And you can't believe everything you read either, even on the internet, let alone anywhere else. So it's kind of one of those, it's up in the air, we're not quite sure, but it probably likely is in the end 4-core with 8 threads. But it does not specify the threads in the device manager, and it usually would say hyper-threading or threads. It usually does not say actual cores unless it is. So that's kind of a hard one to know. And with there being so many versions of the Ideapad 330 out there, that's where it becomes another problematic system of figuring out everything that's really truly under the hood. The 1 terabyte drive is definitely more than what I need. I'm only using 57 gigs on the thing, and that's with the OS and all my software in there. So I'll probably just put a small SSD in this thing, just enough to do what I need it to do, and that'll be it. Why invest a lot of money if you're not using the space? You know, invest in something that's a little bit more than what you need, but, you know, type of thing. Because I do have other computers, right? And the new gamer system, it's pretty honking, so, you know, it's going to need some extra drive space anyway. But, anyhow, so that's where I'm at with this. Let me know what you guys think in the end results. It's still a nice laptop regardless. I would still recommend it if you can get it cheaper. We definitely overpaid for these things, I think, even on the base price. But, you know, hey, it's still a lot of computer for the money either way. But if you can get a good used one that's in really great shape for a decent price, I'd say go for it. Because Lenovo products are good. And Lenovo is very, very good at keeping all their components and stuff up to date all the time. Which I can really appreciate because there are some companies that don't do things too often. Dell is probably one of the ones that doesn't keep things up to date enough, and I've had tons of experience with Dell, and though their computers can be very nice and very affordably nice too, and you're getting some pretty good power, they don't seem to do the update thing very well. Like my last computer from Dell was only a year old, I think it was, maybe 2 tops. And Windows 10 came out, and they weren't willing to support the computer for Windows 10 or any of the hardware in it. And it's like, I still owe 2 years on this thing, and you are not supporting it? You suck. You know, and of course Windows 10 did cause a lot of issues with that computer that almost became unrecoverable. So that kind of sucked. But hey, you know what? You live, you learn, you move on to the next. So we dealt with a different company for these, and overall, they are really good laptops, you know. But I'm just telling it how it is, as I always do on my reviews. And these are my opinions and my findings, and there you go. So let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and then smash that bell so you get notifications, especially if you want to see the new computer that's coming in Tuesday. There will be an unboxing for sure, and I'll set it up, and maybe we'll give it a fire up and see if we can get a program or two into that sucker and see how well it runs out. Anyways, see you soon. Ciao.